Scott Walker is very bold and brave. And he loves taking on special interests, and he loves telling us about it. He's going to be on with Jake Tapper on CNN. That's how this conversation is going to start out. Let's watch.
I've shown I can take on those same powerful special interests. They spent in 3 elections almost $100 million trying to take me out. It was the big government union bosses and the liberal special interests in Washington.
I respect that you've taken on Democratic special interests in Wisconsin, but you've been backed by Republican special interests like the Koch brothers, right? How does that square with what you're saying about taking on special interests, or do you think only liberal special interests are the ones worth taking on?
I'm taking on the ones in Washington. In my state, I didn't just take on the unions and the Democrats. Early on, there was great support from the Assembly and some from the Senate, people like State Senator Scott Fitzgerald, but there were some senators, including some who'd been in the leadership, who didn't want to do the kind of reform. So I'm willing to take on anyone. I stood up to 100,000 protesters. I took on the death threats. I took on threats from my family.
No, wait, but those were all people on the left. And if you say, oh, I was bold, I took on the Republicans who didn't want to be as right-wing as I was, I don't think that really counts as taking on special interest on your side. So I get it, dude. You're a massive, massive right-winger, and you defeated the teachers union. Very bold, and you must be super proud. But the guys with real power in this country aren't teachers making $35,000 or $55,000 a year. It's the Koch brothers with $35 or $55 billion a year. Did you ever take those on, Scott?
But aren't the Koch brothers special interests too? Can you give me an example of one time that you took on a conservative special interest?
I tell you flat out, when I took on the $100 million or so, I raised $80 million in 3 elections in 4.5 years, and 70% of that came from people who gave me $75 or less. The folks in Washington, including folks in my own party, I've spoken out about my frustration about Obamacare. I've spoken out in the fact that on things like Planned Parenthood, which I defunded more than 4 years ago in a blue state.
So I believe that answer was no. Hey, did you ever take on any conservative special interest? Obamacare and Planned Parenthood. I don't think that's what we were asking for. So look, this guy's in the back pocket of the Koch brothers. You remember that call, the fake call from the prankster who called in pretending to be one of the Koch brothers? And this guy, he's got the audio of Scott Walker being like, oh, yes, sir. Absolutely, sir. What else do you need me to do, sir? Please, yes, sir. You didn't take on any special interest. All you did was destroy the unions on behalf of the Koch brothers. You work for the special interests. They hired you. You're just their hitman. That's all there is to it. You're proud of taking on teachers for behalf of the Koch brothers, so they can then say, oh, see, we destroy the unions. Democrats won't get money from those unions. Plus, I get to destroy unions that work for me, is what the Koch brothers are thinking. You take them on in the public sector, and then that'll help us erode them in the private sector. You are a special interest, Scott Walker. So please don't pretend otherwise. You're a sad, sad politician whose whole job is to please his donors. So to come in here as if you're an outsider and against special interests is preposterous. That's exactly what you are, a special interest lackey. I was going to go with more insults, but I'm going to leave it right there. Plus, dum-dum.